Alrighty, so we are once again going to be guaranteed a Liga MX versus MLS final in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, just like last year, because both of the semifinal will be featuring one of them being all Liga MX affair and the other is an all MLS affair. But it didn't look like that was going to happen because with the way how things were going for all these MLS team involved being in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, especially against Liga MX's opponent, yeah, things were definitely looking dire. But then the improbable happened in this game, and we'll talk about that this game in just a bit. But let us start with the first game that is Tigres versus LA Galaxy, and I gotta say, for the Galaxy, hats off for them. They really fought hard in this game, and in the end, we knew that Tigres was going to win, especially with the way that Elvocon is pretty much a death trap for a lot of MLS team. Pretty much, very low MLS team is able to escape Elvocon with moving on into the next round. And it looked like early on it was dire. It looks like the Galaxy was another latest victim of a team that was going to get absolutely destroyed by Tigres at Alvacon. But hats off to them. They fought really hard in this game, but ultimately Tigres just have more quality. And also the defensive problem the Galaxy have had this season kind of flared up again in this one. Now in the first half, Ibanez would hit it right to McCarthy. I thought the Galaxy had most of the possession, but just like the last game, they weren't really creating most with those chances despite having most of the possession. And then in the ninth minute, Tigres strike. It's Ibanez. He scored from Linus to make it 1-0 in favor of Tigres. Just zero defending there from the Galaxy in the box. You cannot leave Ibanez wide open like that. He's like the most one of the most dangerous goal scorers for this Tigres team. And yeah, that is just horrendous defending. And you know what else is horrendous? Giving up another goal just 1 minute later, as Uro Tuna, the former Galaxy player, comes to haunt his old team from Carioca to make it 2-0 in favor of Tigres. And this is when I thought, yep, looks like free space disappointment is again for MLS. And I've seen this story before. It looks like it's a repeat of the Cincinnati Tigres game where once an MLS team eventually gave up a goal, yeah, that's when it gets lopsided. And I thought this could get really ugly. I would not be surprised if Tigres would put a 4 or 5 or even a 6 spot on the Galaxy. But like I said, the Galaxy, they didn't give up. Parente would look to respond, but missed one in the 15th minute. We did go for a period where not much really happened, which, in hindsight, that was actually good for the Galaxy because, yeah, like I said, Tigres, they looked like they were on a roll, and this was going to get out of hand early in this one. They eventually kind of settled things down and created a couple of chances. Peck would then puts one into the stands on the free kick before McCarthy denied Bernetta from long range. There was a shout for a penalty for Tigres not giving in the 32nd minute. The shots were 5-2 for Tigres early in this one, but then on the third shot of the game for the Galaxy, it's in the back of the net. It's Josip Painto. He scored to tie the game up, or actually, I'm sorry, not tie the game up. It was 2-1 up to this point, and really he can thank Tigres for this because yeah, just an absolute gift there from Tigres. This has been a problem I've noticed about Tigres throughout this CONCACAF Champions Cup campaign where there's been times where they have give the ball away sloppily. We saw it against Cincinnati as well, and unfortunately Cincinnati for the most part couldn't take advantage. Yeah, the Galaxy took advantage, and you know the old saying, you can play with so much fire for so long, giving the ball away cheaply at the back before it burns you, and it burned Tigres in a big way here as yeah, just a bad giveaway there. Painter was right there to capitalize, and just like that, the Galaxy were back in the side because now all of a sudden you just need one more goal. You just need a score draw against Tigres, and the Galaxy would be able to move on the away goal advantage. Pinto did look to square it, but he was denied by Guzman. And again, the momentum was with the Galaxy. They were looking to try to get the equalizer late in the first half, but we do head to halftime with Tigres leading 2-1. In the second half, not much happened really early as Tigres, not only have most of the possession, but they were looking to try to tire out this Galaxy team and also try to slow the game down and really kill any momentum the Galaxy has had. And then in the 58th minute, they restored that 2 goal lead as Romello would score from Linus to make it 3-1 in favor of Tigres. Again, just zero defending whatsoever from the Galaxy when the ball comes in. That's twice in this game that they leave a player wide open in the box. And yeah, you just can't do that against Tigres. And just like that, it was 3-1. Looks like it was over. But then 2 minutes later, Garces would score to make it 3-2 in this game. And Tigres, they were livid. They feel like there should have been a foul in the box. I didn't really see anything in the box there. They did go to VAR to see if that's the case, and VAR says no, which again that's kind of maybe a little bit surprising because usually when these kind of affair, I always feel like Liga MX team was going to get bailed out because of it, but nope. This time VAR make the right call, and just like that, it's 3-2 in this game, and this is when Tigres really started to go into their dark arts of trick. We know Liga MX team always does that against MLS opponents, especially when they're winning. But Tigres is definitely one right up there in terms of being the top shithousery team in Liga MX because they really started to waste some time. Even going to the corner at times when the game was still like literally in the 67th minute. Like you usually see that in the 87th minute. They were doing it in the 67th minute. They were trying to really lock this down, and then it looked like Aquino restored the 2 goal lead for Tigres, but the goal was disallowed for offside. The Galaxy just simply have no answer in terms of defending dangerous crosses in the box. That was pretty much kind of the downfall in this game and really in this two-legged affair. Yamane then puts it high from close range. The Galaxy was pushing late to try to get the equalizer. Tigres was pretty much in lockdown mode here, trying to hold on to this free to advantage and even doing everything that they can do to waste time. Guys going down easily, maybe just kind of did some dark arts falling on the ground to easily to earn a foul and bait the referee to call a whistle. And yeah, in the end, it worked out for them because they hold on to win 3-2. Against the Galaxy. The shots of this one, not a lot of shots. 9 shots for the 7 that the Galaxy had. 6 shots on goal for the 4 that the Galaxy had. 3 shots off target for the none that the Tigres had. 2 shots that was blocked for the none that the Galaxy had. And possession-wise, 56% possession compared to the 44% possession the Galaxy has in this game. And again, I know it is disappointing to once again see an MLS team come up short, but at the end of the day, there was not a lot of expectation with the Galaxy heading into this game. Like it was almost going to be an impossible task to overcome the almighty Tigres, but give credit to them. They did well in this one. They fought very hard, but unfortunately, the downfall for them is not only Tigres were the better team, but yeah, the defensive problem that the Galaxy had this season, not just in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but also in MLS play, it reels its ugly head in this game again. Now, moving on into the only all MLS affair in the quarterfinal between Inter Miami versus LAFC. So yeah, this game, as I said, this out of most of the quarterfinal that is out there, I think this is definitely one of the one that everybody was looking forward to. I mean, I know some people might be looking forward to Club America and Cruz Azul as well, but this was really kind of the marquee match with Messi and friends against an LAFC team that consistently has been the more dominant team in the league. But one of the big issue for LAFC, and I've said this before, and I hate to bring it up to LAFC fans again because I'm pretty sure any LAFC fans are kind of tired of me talking about it. They just simply cannot get it done in big games like these big games kind of moments. They just more times are not unable to get over the hum. And guess what happened in this game? Yep, they once again fail in a big game scenario. Though I mean you gotta say you kind of feel like it was kind of inevitable. I mean, especially when once Miami got that second goal, I kind of knew that yeah, it's it's pretty much inevitable that Miami was gonna come back in this game. But in the first half, unsurprisingly, Miami had all the possession as LAFC was sitting deep and trying to counter. Unda did try to go for Olympico here, so he probably saw what Messi did in the last game, tried a couple Olympico. So he tried to do it himself, but was tipped over by Ustari. But then in the 8th minute, Aaron Long would score for Modaz to make it 1-0 in favor of LAFC, just to completely silence that crowd at Chase Stadium because, yeah, it was definitely a party atmosphere, thinking that their team could overcome the 1-0 lead. And Miami also feel like there was an offside there. I don't think there was an offside. I think it was Yannick Bright, the one that kept in an onside position, and not a great moment there for Yannick Bright here. He's been a good piece for this Inter Miami team, but yeah, that was a moment where he just simply jogged tracking back, basically kept Ordaz on side there, or actually not Ordaz, I'm sorry, but Long on side there, and yeah. Therefore, the goal stands. LAFC was having the 1-0 lead, but most importantly, they got the away goal because now Miami will have to score 3 unanswered to move on into the next round. And as I said, it's a dream start for LAFC, disastrous start for Miami, who now needs to win this two-legged affair outright, which means that they have to score three goals to make up the 2-0 deficit that they found themselves in. Falcone would look to answer, but he puts it over from close before Bawanga will cross it wide from long range in the 14th minute. You want to know why Denis Bawanga has been struggling this season in terms of goal scoring? Exhibit A in terms of this game. He had so many chances in this one, and if this was the Denis Bawanga from last season, especially in the second half of last season, he would have at least scored a couple of goals. But just something about him this season, just once again off to a slow start and just simply got ice cold to start the season. Now, to be fair, he did do well in the last round of the Champions Cup, but besides that game against Columbus, he's been pretty much held in check in pretty much both in this competition and also in MLS play as well. But there was no doubt that I thought Miami was still shell shocked as their back line again just looked all over the place in this game. And this again just kind of reminds you a little bit of what happened against Atlanta in the last playoffs where the back line wasn't at its best. And next thing you know, they found themselves in a hole that they ultimately weren't able to dig out. Suarez would then hit it wide from close before Tillman would puts one right to Ustavi in the 21st minute. Bawanga then flashed one wide that eventually end up as a throw-in. By the way, I would also like to say that this game was peak CONCACAF in the way where we saw some bad refereeing, some blown calls, and also some exciting action. Again, we knew this was going to be a marquee matchup, and it definitely lived up to its tale. But in the 27th minute, Messi would hit it right to Lloris, and then Messi thought he got one back for Inter Miami. In fact, originally it was given a goal for Inter Miami, but LAFC was absolutely livid because they were livid that the referee never blow his whistle before the free kick was taken, and in the end, the referee did reverse the decision. Obviously, yeah, you simply cannot take a free kick without the referee blowing the whistle, and yeah, I just feel like yeah, that was kind of peak Concacaf refereeing level, just to pure chaos in terms of refereeing at times in this competition, and that wouldn't be the only controversial call. We'll get to another controversial call that happened late in this game as well. But in the 34th minute, Undo would put it right to Ustavi, but then in the 35th minute, yeah, Messi was not going to be denied. He scored from Suarez to tie the game up at one apiece and pull within 2 goals in the aggregate for Miami. And then he looked for another, but missed wide in the 38th minute. Momentum was all with Miami. You can even hear it in the crowd at Chase Stadium. They were really trying to rile up their team to try to get the lead and get another back in the aggregate score. Lloris then denied Suarez from close, but it's a recycle, and Suarez had another chance there, but he was able to tip this one on to the post there, and then Redondo would headset onto the roof of the net. LAFC need halftime badly. I mean, up to this point, it was all Miami. They smell blood. They want to get themselves the lead heading into halftime and pull within just 1 goal away from the aggregate. Redondo had a chance to do so, and he absolutely skies this one from point blank range after Lloris didn't catch that one. Yeah, Hugo Lloris was a very lucky goalkeeper. And again, we talked about Hugo Lloris a couple of games ago against San Diego having that gaff. He hasn't been comfortable, at least in these early part of the season, and it kind of shown in that moment. And Redondo absolutely should have buried that one. I mean, I know Redondo was not known to be a goal scorer for this Miami team, but with that chance like that, that should have been 2-1, and LAFC very lucky to escape heading into halftime. With the score still tied up at one apiece. In the second half, Ustari then denied Holland's head from the corner because Miami simply can't defend corners. That's been their Achilles heel for the past couple of years. Segovia would then hits it right to Lloris. Miami, had most of the possession, but you just kind of feel like that plays right into LAFC hands. They were sitting deep and trying to go on the quick counter. It didn't really quite work out though, because in the 61st minute, Miami does ties the aggregate score, and we're with 1 goal within to go ahead in the aggregate score. As Noah Allen would score from Messi to make it 2-1 in favor of Miami. It was actually originally given to Redondo. It looked like Redondo actually took the touch on the cross from Allen, but apparently they said that Redondo never made any contact and it goes into the back net. Nevertheless, Miami wouldn't care because it was 2-1, and this is when I said, buckle up, boys and girls, because this is about to get wild. And I might as well also say, yeah, Miami's gonna win this, aren't they? And if you're an LAFC fan, you are just basically praying that, oh boy, it feels like the script is coming to Miami rescue you here, because you just kind of had a sense with all the momentum Miami was having. they were going to get that third goal to take the aggregate score, and yet LAFC had chances to get that second away goal as Undo tried to chip Ustari from who came way off his lines there, but just couldn't quite do that. And then it looked like Miami did get themselves a third goal as Luis Suarez puts it into the back net. They go to VAR to see whether or not if the goal should be disallowed for offside. And keep in mind, I think the original call was the goal was disallowed for offside, but they go to VAR and VAR says that the goal was indeed disallowed for offside. And when I look back on the replay, especially they actually show an image of the lines there, and you can even look at the MLS Reddit page for that. You can clearly see it's clearly not correct, and that the whoever draw the line was not accurate whatsoever. I mean, some might say, well, maybe the angle wasn't the best. I think the angle was pretty good enough where you can definitely determine that was onside, and yeah, again, talk about blown calls and CONCACAF. There we go. And I also think that for those that are thinking that yeah, Miami is getting all the call and it seems like CONCACAF is trying to script Miami to make it to the final. Yeah, I'm pretty sure those doubters are in shambles after that call that was happening, or the fact that they just want to make this even more interesting. But in the 71st minute, Bawanga was in on goal there, but didn't get the pace to get past Ustari again. This was Bawanga last season. That's in the back of the net. This was a big problem for LAFC in this game where they just simply can't get that second goal. Like if they would have got that second goal, you would have said that maybe they would have had the chance to move on. Actually, I wouldn't say maybe they would have moved on. Like Miami would have to find two goals late, and even though Miami has worked some incredible magic, you just feel like the momentum would have been in LAFC favor if they would have got that second goal. And I even said, will these missed chances come back to haunt LAFC? Because again, Miami, it just feels like it's inevitable. Eventually, they're going to get that third goal to go ahead in the aggregate score. Alande would then heads it wide from close before Suarez would heads it right to Lariz, as Miami was clearly pushing hard to try to get that third goal. LAFC is in full bunker mode. They're basically in row heave mo and a half up to this point. And then in the 83rd minute, so you know how I said row heave mode and how many times I've said row heave mode with Minnesota and didn't quite work out. Yep, it didn't work out for the LAFC because in the 83rd minute, a penalty was given to Miami as VAR deemed that Marlon handballed this one, and yeah, he clearly handballed this one. And there was really no need for him to handball this one. This one was just popped up in the air there, and there was just really no need for Marlon to kind of reach his arm to touch the ball as well. I mean, when the ball is popped up like that, you're taught to basically either head it away or simply let your goalkeeper get it. And in this case, he probably should have headed away, even though there's traffic away. There was no need to just kind of stand there and let the ball drop to him. And yeah, again, that was a brutal mistake there for his part and certainly for LAFC. And they were punished by the GOAT in the 85th minute as Messi buries that one to make it 3-1 in this game. And then Suarez tried to put the exclamation mark with the overhead kick, but yeah, he basically sent that one halfway to Orlando. If this was Suarez maybe 10 years ago, he probably would have buried that one. Ustavi then absolutely robbed Bawanga on the header before Holland's head hits it right to Ustari, as now it's Miami that are the one that is trying to hold on because, LAFC, they were pushing everything to try to get that second goal, that tying goal, to tie the aggregate, or actually not the tying goal, but at least tie the aggregate with that second away goal to advance into the next round. But then this is when the tempers really boiled over, and you kind of saw this coming with the way that it was such a physical kind of match and such a highly competitive match that yeah, you knew that the tempers was going to boil over, and it really did. When Messi basically was decked by Marlon there, and then it was just on. Like it felt like I was watching WWE for a second after that sequence. Now there was no red card that was handed out, which I think in the end that was kind of the right call. Not just the fact that this is basically CONCACAF have, and yeah, even in these kind of moments, red cards are probably going to be rare. But I also think it was the right thing not to give a red card, considering you just want to you might just give out some yellow cards, and also you don't want to have a situation where it's like 10 men late in this one and kill the mood of what was already an exciting game. Bawanga was then in on goal there in the 90th minute, but he was once again robbed by Starry on a 1v1 opportunity. I mean, yeah, like I said, Bawanga, he could have easily had a hat trick in this one. And while Starry definitely played his heroic, I mean, clearly the LAFC should have at least got more than the one that they have up to this point. And I even wrote that kind of sums up LAFC night and really sums up Bawanga season as well. Not getting that second goal has come back to haunt them, and indeed it did. As Inter Miami is moving on into the semifinal with a come from behind winning the aggregate score and also the win. Shots in this one, there was a lot of it. 21 shots for the 13 that LAFC had, 8 shots on goal for the 9 that Miami has, 6 shots off target for 2 that LAFC had, 3 shots on blocked for the 6 that Miami has, and possession wise, 59% possession compared to 41% possession that Inter Miami has in this one. Absolute instant classic, and you can even put the absolute cinema kind of meme with Einstein in it because yeah, what a game that this is. But you just kind of had a sense that this was a game, especially with the pressure that Miami was putting late in this one. It was kind of inevitable that they would find a way to move on, and that's exactly what happened. And for LAFC, they have no one to blame but themselves once again in these big game moment in this huge moment to prove that they can get over the hump in these big games and defeat past narrative. Yeah, past narrative once again risen up again where they just simply can't get it done and now and even though I know they're playing against the more superior team, I mean to have a 2-0 lead like that and unable to close out. And yes, it's against the one the best team in MLS in terms of the CONCACAF Champions Cup coming in, but again, simply not being able to be clinical. How many times I've said when you're not being clinical against Inter Miami and you don't punish them when you're giving the chances, yeah, you're probably gonna lose that game. And LAFC basically found that out in this one. Now, moving on into the next game because I spent a lot of talk about this game because there was just so much that was happening in this one. But this next game we're gonna talk about. After all the craziness that was happening in this one, it feels like this one there was gonna be a lot that needs to live up to this game to also instantly be a big talking point. And boy, it was definitely a talking point in this one because I gotta say the Vancouver Whitecaps. I know they're gonna be really up against it when they place Inter Miami in the semifinal, but you just kind of had a feeling this is a team of destiny. I mean, I don't know how they keep doing this in these improbable kind of thing where their back is against their wall a couple of times against this Liga MX opponent, and yet Jasper Sorensen team just somehow pull a rabbit out of their head and just completely goes against the script of what MLS team usually do when they found themselves in big adversity down in Mexico. Now, in the first half, Ruvalcaba would puts it wide from long range before Takaoka would deny Martinez from long range. Pumas was definitely on the front foot, and it feels like this is similar to the Rayados game where Vancouver was just trying to sit deep and trying to ride out the pressure early on. And the good news for Vancouver is that at least they didn't give up an early goal too. That's kind of the fear that you would say about them, especially in the last game against Rayados where they gave up that early goal and unable to sustain early pressure. Padilla would then deny Vite from long range, but then go for a period where not much really happened, and this is again similar to what we saw against Rayados. The Whitecaps started to settle into this game and started to create some chances. And in the 33rd minute, they got the lead. It's Sebastian Berhalter. He scored from Rios to make it 1-0 in favor of Vancouver. And when Berhalter scores, it's going to be a spectacular goal. And indeed, it was. Though on the other end, Takoko would deny Ruvalcaba from long range. But then in the 37th minute, yeah, that 1-0 lead didn't last long. As Martinez would score to tie the game up at one apiece. Takoko actually made a great save originally, but it falls to Martinez. And by the way, that Whitecaps defense just basically watch Martinez hits it into the empty, and nobody was picking up on the second chance there. Not great defending there on the Whitecaps standpoint, and just like that, the game was tied up at one apiece heading into the second half. In the second half, Takaoka would deny Martinez from close before Caicedo puts it wide from long range in the 48th minute. Pumas definitely was having the momentum. They were ramping up the pressure to try to take the lead. Takaoka would then deny Martinez again. We then had some coming together between both of these teams. Not as extreme as what we saw in this game, but that after the bad blood that happened in the first game. Heck, the first game literally ended because there was just scrap on the pitch and also on the touchline line too between the two coaching staff. So yeah, you knew there was going to be some bad blood in this, and it kind of boiled over up to this point. Pacedo then missed an absolute sitter from close in the 73rd minute before Takaoka would deny Funes Mori from close. Vancouver is definitely on a tightrope because Pumas was putting a lot of pressure up to this point. They were trying to press for the winning goal, and up to this point, this is when I kind of worry that yeah, just kind of feel like I've seen this story so many times before, where an MLS team is on the back foot and eventually the pressure buckle. But instead, in the 83rd minute, Boswell had a chance to give the Whitecaps a stunning lead, but he missed an absolute sitter from close. And I thought, yep, that was the chance. That was the chance that the Whitecaps were looking for throughout this whole game. And now we've seen this story before, where MLS team missed some big chances, and eventually, like I said, the pressure that Pumas was going to put is going to pay off, and it finally paid off in the 88th minute as Placido would score from Dorede to make it 2-1 in favor of Pumas. Game's over, right? Yeah. For Vancouver, it's unfortunate, and it's been a great run for the Whitecaps. I mean, after beating Rayados and stunning a team that has been the giant killer of MLS, especially when they're down in Mexico. I don't think Jasper Soren's side should be that disappointed about the way that they exit this tournament. Wait, what do you mean Blackman score? Yep, in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, Tristan Blackman just out of nowhere scored from Brian White to tie the game up at two apiece. And I didn't even wrote WTF with a question mark and exclamation mark. And I think everybody probably think the same way. I'm pretty sure Whitecaps fans are probably thinking the same way as well. Because again, as well as much as I know this season, everything seems like it's been falling in piece of what Jasper Sorensen's side has done. It just feels like the team of friendship seems like is enough even without the quality to be speak of getting themselves in first in the West and having these big upset. But I didn't think in any way possible that after when Puma scored that second goal that they would come back in this one. But yeah, like I said, whatever Jasper Sorensen has done to this team, and I said it before, he has to be an early candidate for coach of the year. And if this keeps up, he's definitely going to be the coach of the year. Like there is no way in the world you would look at this team, and especially the run that they have in this CONCACAF Champions Cup. Like I say last year when Columbus made it to the final, and how incredible that run was, especially beating of Liga MX team down in Mexico. But what Vancouver is doing is just there's even more stunning than what Columbus, and you could maybe even argue as impressive as what Columbus is, because while we know Columbus have a good team and they can definitely go toe to toe with some of these Liga MX side, I did not expect that was the case with Vancouver. I mean, there's a reason why in the beginning of this tournament, or before this tournament set stone, I said that this team was going to be one of the lowest team to basically have a chance to win this competition, and yet they're just one game away to make it to the final. And like I said, it just feels like with all these incredible comeback and these improbable moments, is this maybe the team of that destiny? But look at the shots in this one: 20 shots for the six that Vancouver has, 3 shots on goal for the nine that Pumas had, 5 shots off target for the two that Vancouver has, no shots that was blocked for the four that Pumas had, and possession wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession that the Whitecaps has in this game. And I guarantee you, heading into that all MLS semifinal affair against Miami, you can bet your sweet ass that pretty much every MLS fan base are cheering for the Vancouver Whitecaps. And I know if you're an Inter Miami fan, or at least you're a fair weather Inter Miami fan, I'm sorry, but all the MLS neutral are not really going to be that happy of how Miami is going to go for. And for these last year or two, they have definitely built the reputation of being the top villain, and also so probably the most hated team right now in MLS. But with what the Vancouver Whitecaps have done in this competition, and being really like the people's team right now, in terms of carrying the MLS flag, that is going to be a very interesting thing semifinal. It's almost like a classic example of David versus Goliath, and as we've seen before with Vancouver, them playing the David versus Goliath role, with them being Goliath, they have weighed down David multiple time, and able to pull up upsets after upset. And in some way, you could also argue this team really reminds me of the Montreal team a couple of years. Remember when Montreal made it all the way to the final against Club America, and how they had some of those stunning upset. I think the Tristan Blackman goal is going to be similar talked about to the Cameron Porter goal that Montreal all scored in that semifinal against Pachuca. I mean, and especially around the same time too, as well. The only difference is that Porter did that in against Pachuca and Montreal, Vancouver, and with Tristan Blackman, he did that down in Mexico against Pumas. But now, that being said, that is pretty much it in terms of the review of all three of these games. And wow, what a wild sequence it is in terms of the quarterfinal. Like I said, I would have never expected the fact that we would see an all MLS affair, especially again. I mean, I knew this one was probably not a bridge too far to reach for the Galaxy, and indeed that was the case. I definitely did not expect Vancouver was going to pull out this, especially being down in heading into the last couple of minutes. But yeah, this should be a very interesting and kind of all MLS affair between Miami and Vancouver, and there's no doubt that we'll see whether or not, just like last year when we saw this happen, maybe this might be a year where we see an MLS team win this competition once again. And who would have thought that if that is the case? Can you imagine if Vancouver might do it again? This is a team of destiny, Dive. I think with all these miracles and these black magic that Jasper Sorensen has pulled off, something tells me that that could be the case. But we'll see how they do against Miami in a couple of weeks, and especially we'll see how the final is going to be as well. Let's see if MLS team can learn their lesson against the Liga MX opponent in the final in about a month or two. But there you have it. Like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of all three of these games in this review. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.